This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, sir?
Please come in.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Akshita.
Yes, sir.
Please sit down, Akshita.
Thank you, sir.
Akshita, your name is Akshita. What does it mean?
Sir, it means something that cannot be damaged easily.
And so that means a Nidhi which you have got cannot be damaged, huh?
Yes.
So this is Akshita Nidhi. That is undestroyable
Treasure.
Nidhi. Treasure. Oh, very good. Wonderful. Akshita, I was wondering, you passed out class 12 in 14.
Yes, sir.
And then you passed out LLB in 2021.
Yes,
Why
sir.
did you take 7 years?
Sir, basically, my LLB is a 3 years LLB. I have a graduation in economics before a graduation in law. But since there was only scope for one graduation that I could mention, and LLB falls in the graduation.
So you joined which college and what stream of subject you are taken for graduation?
Sir, I've done a bachelor's in economics.
From?
Daulat Ram College, University of Delhi. Yes.
No. You are?
University of Delhi.
Yeah, all right. Okay. So why didn't you pursue economics thereafter?
Sir, in my 11th and 12th, I had economics as a subject, and I was keenly interested in understanding the various perspectives of economics. However, coming from a family of legal background, I knew that eventually I would take up a profession in law. So economics was just for interest and law for my professional career.
You had been writing this examination for a while and this is your 4th attempt. Why couldn't you make it till now?
Sir, I think for my first 2 attempts, I did not take the exam very seriously, and that was a fault on my side. And for my 3rd attempt, I wrote my mains, and my mains clashed with my college exams. And I could not manage the exams and my college.
So why didn't you take your first 2 attempts seriously?
Sir, I got very busy in my college extracurriculars, so I kind of misjudged the amount of competition that is there in the civil services.
Very nice. So you were a researcher for UGC Innovation Project.
Yes, sir.
Tell me why innovation is not flourishing in this country?
Sir, one of the first things that comes to my mind is the funding criteria that is, we spend only 0.7% of the GDP on innovation. So secondly, cross-discipline innovation is not yet so flourishing. So one of the reasons why UGC started the innovation project was to promote interdisciplinary research. And
so if you had to promote interdisciplinary research, what should we do?
Sir, I think the integration of different fields. Right now we have humanities streams that are being taught in IITs. And maybe even we collaborated with the maths department.
Humanities as a subject was introduced long time back in IIT. When I was a student of IIT, even at that point of time, we had taken some credit in humanities, but nothing much happened.
Sir, I think that humanities is a subject that takes time to show the changes, and it is not very quick result subject.
Tell me, the related area is startups, because startups are also basically innovative in nature. Why Silicon Valley is a hub of startup? Why Delhi could not become a hub of, say, Indian startups, or of Bombay, or for that matter, even to a large extent Bangalore also? Yes, we do have some startups, but none of these cities have become the hubs of startups.
Sir, gradually we are trying to develop the startup culture in India, and we are the 3rd largest startup ranking country overall, and we have approximately more than 100 unicorns. So gradually I am hopeful that we will be the next Silicon Valley. However,
but for a place to become a hub of startups, what is required?
So the incentives, the taxation benefits, clear guidelines in terms of this.
But do you think that all these guys, Jacob or Bill Gates, they got attracted because of incentive?
So that is one of the factors that would be
Do you really think so? Suppose you had to start up, or some friend of yours, I don't know whether you know of some friend of yours or somebody who has taken up a startup, and what was the incentive or what was the motivation to take up a startup?
Sir, motivation definitely comes from the problem statement. However, the funding and other investment potential comes from the incentives that are offered to the investors, the angel investors and other formats. So I think that
Do you think
is
this startup business or innovative thinking have got to do something with our culture as well as education?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, we are considered to be a risk-averse society in India. Students want to settle down with regular income salaried jobs more than an unstable, uncertain career.
So who is responsible? That's fine. That's the effect. That's the outcome, that we are risk-averse society. But why are we risk-averse society?
Sir, I think one of the major reasons is that most of the population falls in the middle or the lower middle class income.
So what? Middle class are the most ambitious guys.
Yes, sir, but then the potential, the margin of taking risk for such a category of people becomes very less. And secondly, sir, it is internalized in the students that if the parents are well settled, then one has to settle down before a certain age, and there are a lot of factors. So I think.
All right. Thank you. I'll request my colleague to take over.
So you have a little law background. These days we are reading and listening a lot about Adani and Hindenburg, right? And Hindenburg has said that Adani has manipulated share prices. Share prices were up. Is there any law in the stock market by which we can say that this share cannot go below this price or above this price?
So there's a term called lower circuit where a share is measured, the share value is frozen at its lowest limit. And SEBI guidelines have certain laws in terms of the higher limit and the lower circuit.
So what happens in the circuit?
Sir, if the prices fall around the lower circuit and reach the lower circuit, then the prices are frozen and the stock trading is frozen, in my understanding, sir. However,
so frozen for always, or some time, after some time it will be?
Sir, after some time when the proper investigation has been made and we have...
Proper investigation may take, for example, 1 year. For example.
Yes.
So prices will remain frozen for 1 year?
No, sir. No, sir.
So tell me when it will be decreased.
Sir, I do not remember the exact timeline.
Okay. Few days back on demonetization, Supreme Court made a very important decision. Broadly, general public understood that. Supreme Court said it was a very good thing. Tell me what exactly Supreme Court said in terms of constitution.
Yes,
Final legal aspects of the decision. General public said, Supreme Court said it was very good decision. I think this was not held, or this was not said by Supreme Court, it's a very good decision. What exactly is Supreme Court say in terms of constitution?
So as far as I remember, the Supreme Court said that the RBI Act empowers the government to demonetize currencies, and there was no violation of the mandate given by the RBI Act. There was proper consultation between the government and the RBI for a course of 6 months, and the consultation was necessary as a part of the mandate. It does not need a statutory backing, and in terms of constitution, sir, they said that if a legislation causes any discomfort or inconvenience to the masses, but it is of a public welfare connotation, then the public welfare takes precedence over the minor discomforts that might have occurred.
What is the difference between a law and a code?
Law and a code. Sir, a law is... Sir, a law is something that has got legal punishments and sanctions. A code is a set of guidelines that are to be followed, although it also has a set of sanctions, but these are mostly civil in nature, and laws can be both civil as well as criminal in nature.
We have a code called Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Can you tell me the purpose for which it was introduced?
Sir, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code was introduced to ease the business environment in the country and to smoothen and to streamline the process of insolvency and bankruptcy procedure of the corporate and the non-corporate borrowers.
Do you think it has fulfilled the targets or objectives for which it was brought?
So the latest economic survey data says that it has fulfilled the targets in terms of there were around 6,000 applications that were filed over the past year, and of those 6,000, 5,200 were disposed of. Also, the recovery ratio has been stated as around 70%, which is a good recovery ratio in my understanding.
What is geoeconomics?
So geoeconomics is a concept where the political and the political atmosphere primarily has economics as a primary factor. So it's often said that we're moving from a neoliberal to a geoeconomic concept where economics is going to take a precedence over political structures. Hello.
You're from Jharkhand?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me a few famous things about Jharkhand?
Sir, in terms of culture,
Anything that comes to your mind?
Jharkhand is a predominantly tribal state, and it consists of various tribes. Approximately 25% of the population is tribal. And so tribal culture and art is very famous in terms of the Sohrai cover paintings that have recently been gotten GI tags. And so in terms of the Dokra culture, Dokra art forms that's there. In terms of tourism, sir, we have a Jyotirling in Devghar. We have Shakti Peeths.
Okay. Have you been following the budget?
Sir, trying to.
Can you tell me a few highlights?
So the taxation, few highlights that come to my mind right now would be taxation structure has been changed, and now the tax capping is up to, the tax brackets have been reduced to 5, and up to 7 lakhs one does not have to pay any taxes.
So what else?
So secondly, sir, we have introduced newer schemes for PVTGs. There's a PVTG mission that has been included. So there's a Mishti scheme that has been introduced for mangroves. So apart from that, there is a Mahila Samman certificate scheme, that is a depository scheme that has been introduced.
Okay. Now, what has the budget allocation for women been like? What do you know the trend of it?
Sir, I can only recall that at this moment I can recall that in 2006 we had a gender budgeting that started in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So
are
now,
we still following it?
So the gender budgeting, I think, yes, sir, we are. No, sir, we are not following it.
Was the gender budgeting component mentioned somewhere in this?
Sir, I do not follow this. I'm sorry. So there was gender budgeting that started, and right now there are different schemes that have been introduced for women specifically in the budget.
What are the disinvestment targets this time?
Sir, it is 51,000 crores, if I'm not wrong.
And what is disinvestment?
So disinvestment is, there are 3 kinds of disinvestment. It's the transfer of shares from the government sector to the private sector in PSUs and other government entities. So there are 3 kinds of disinvestment. One is the majority sale, minority sale, and outright privatization. It can also be said token sale, strategic sale. So, sir,
what is strategic disinvestment?
Strategic disinvestment is when the government reduces its share to less than 50%. So that is strategic disinvestment. And there is a transfer of management control to the private sector in strategic disinvestment.
In your hobby section, it's left blank. Is it a typo?
I think it is a typo, sir, I believe.
What are your hobbies then?
Sir, I have learned, I listen and sing to bhajans. I have gotten a distinction certificate from Prachin Kala Kendra.
In what? Bhajans?
In bhajan singing and listening. And I meditate Isha Kriya. There's a specific practice of Isha Kriya that I do.
Your preference for IPS is very down. Any particular reason for that?
So this is a personal reason. I have a history of asthma. So the training process is not very recommendable
Okay,
for
so
me.
you think physically you won't be able to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you, Akshita.
Thank you, sir. Akshita, you're from Jharkhand. You have been in Delhi for quite some time. If you are to, let's say, transfer to cultural things, economic things, social things from Jharkhand to Delhi, what that would be?
Cultural things, economic.
Any two.
Any two. Sir, one of that would be the food. I would want to introduce the
Any
cuisine,
one cuisine, yes.
of Jharkhand here. Any one cuisine would be, sir, we have a specific dish called arsa in Jharkhand, which is not available here, and that's made on auspicious occasions in
What is
Jharkhand.
arsa?
So it's a kind of a sweet dessert.
Okay,
that is
okay.
made.
And second thing?
So second thing would be the greenery. I would like to encourage the people to go green, because the state of Jharkhand abounds in natural beauty, and coming from that state, I would want Delhi also to develop its own greener structures. And
Okay, and what two things you won't bring to Delhi?
so in terms of anything.
Anything, what two things you don't like about Jharkhand which should not be replicated anywhere in India?
So there is a sense of political instability in the state. This is only the second time that the government is functioning properly.
That is maybe not in your ambit to introduce, right?
Yes, sir, but
Anything
then,
what you can do?
what I can do. Sir, I think the state doesn't have any flaws that I can basically count on as a citizen, but still have to take some
No
time.
flaws at all. So it was a success after like bifurcation of Bihar into Jharkhand and Bihar.
Sir, I believe yes, it was a good decision.
No issues at all.
There are issues, again, political instability and corruption. There is a resource curse that Jharkhand faces. Not a lot of people are skilled, and not a lot of the natural resources being utilized
So you
in a
should have said
cost-effective
these
manner.
things, right? Okay. So you come from a law background as well, right? What is the difference between horizontal rights and vertical rights?
Yes, sir. Sir, horizontal rights are available to every distinct category of individual citizen. So recently, the Supreme Court in 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐽 case said that the fundamental rights can be horizontally applicable. So vertical rights are applicable only category-wise. So certain categories have vertical rights, and certain categories can be excluded.
Give me an example.
Suppose minority rights, Article 29 and 30 are available for minorities.
Are you not talking about horizontal reservation and vertical reservation? For an individual, what is a horizontal right? What is a vertical right?
Sir, I will have to read more on that.
Okay. Talking about FIR, like if I am traveling from one district to another and on the way I witness something, but I am fearful of my life and I escape that situation. So what should I do? I want to file an FIR. What is the procedure I can follow?
So there's a concept of zero FIR, where you can file an FIR in the nearest station, and the jurisdiction is not taken, and as a constraint, the transfer of the case will take place subsequently in the requisite jurisdiction. There is now online FIRs are also filed, e-FIRs. Also another is you can file an FIR in the place where the cause of occurrence has taken place.
Okay, Akshita. Thank you so much. Your interview is over.